الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون صدق الله العظيم. The continuation of the brief tafseer of the 21st ayah of Surat al-Baqarah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses mankind that, O mankind, worship your Rabb, that being that has created you and has created all those that came before you, that you may have taqwa, or that you may attain taqwa. Speaking about the aspect, or we came to the point related to the nafs. This nafs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created it with various qualities, three main types of attributes and qualities this nafs has, three main categories. The nafs al-ammara, which is that quality driven and always going towards evil and desires, the vain desires of this dunya, the animalistic desires and lusts. The second nafs, nafsul mutma'inna, the angelic quality it has, making it seeking contentment, just trying to find that solitude, trying to find that itminan, that sakina, that peace of mind and tranquility. And the third quality it has is nafsul lawama, which is kind of a balance between these other two qualities. It is that soul that blames the person if he goes too far, or he indulges in things that are outside of the norm of the fitrah, or the very nature of the human being. This nafsul ammara, that attribute which is created to lust after this dunya and to go after these worldly desires and the material things of this dunya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this quality within the human being so that we might be able to find progress. But part of that progress is that we always have this desire to find something new, find something better. And along with that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put this within the human being so that they may want to continue the creation of humanity. This is also found in the animal world, where they also continue their creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, Allahu yabda'ul khalq thumma yu'iduh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that being who originates creation, then He repeats it, or He continues and repeats the process of this creation. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a system, the system of desires within the human being. The nature of desire is the same nature as fire. In the English language, the words are very similar, desire and fire. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made these shahawat, this hawa, these desires and nature is like that of fire. And the nature of fire is that the more you feed it, the larger the fire becomes. And if you need a specific intensity of heat in the fire for a specific purpose, such as cooking food or using it in a blowtorch to cut something, the harder the intensity is, the harder the material you can cut. What is important is that this fire must have adequate fuel in order to maintain that level of heat. If that level of fuel is not given to that fire, so the fire will diminish in intensity and it will not give you the desired results. Coming to the desires of the human being, the shahwat of the human being, within a certain amount, they're very, very beneficial. To a certain degree, it allows us to progress, it allows us to grow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this system inside the human being. If it is not controlled, if it is not contained, if it is not tamed, and it is allowed to get out of control, a point comes where the human being, he needs so much just to become satisfied that he is not able to provide the adequate fuel to remain satisfied. So this person is always, for lack of better words, is always thirsty or always hungry. And he is never able to satisfy that lust. Not only that, he needs more and more intense situations. And eventually, because the person is never satisfied, he never has a peace of mind and it gets out of control. So for this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us such a beautiful deen of Islam, this beautiful religion of Islam, that He has given us in this deen, this beautiful system of nikah. This nikah was the sunnah of all of the Anbiya alayhim as-salam, of all of the prophets and messengers. There's also a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it was a way to keep this human being that when he reached a certain level of maturity, that he'll be able to fulfill that desire that much that is needed to remain satisfied. Otherwise what happens is that human beings, when they never are satisfied, they try to seek out other avenues to remain satisfied. This is why we have this problem in this time and age. The problem of the Qawmi Lut or Liwatat. What is happening in the society nowadays, they're trying to legalize these things that make no sense. This was a system that was no other time in human history has these kind of things ever been found or legalized. And anytime this has gone this far, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destroyed that society. The case of Qawmi Lut, or a nation, they had this extreme passion. They were not able to control their desires. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when speaking about their desires in the Quran, He tells us, telling Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لَعَمْرُكْ إِنَّهُمْ لَفِي سَكْرَتِهِمْ يَعْمَهُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that you swear by your life, if you could have only seen how drunk they were in their desires or in their passions. Once it gets out of control, the person starts to act mad like a drunk person. And this is how dangerous it can become. And this is such a hated amal when the human being loses that much control that he becomes worse than an animal. And this is also to show the potential of the human being. And when we want to follow our desires, we can even become worse than an animal. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed Qawmi Lut. And not only destroyed Qawmi Lut, also destroyed the wife of Lut alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to this Qawm a Nabi by the name of Lut alayhi salam. He was the nephew of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And he was sent to the cities of Sadum and Ghamurah, where this Qawm or this nation resided. And they had lost so much control, this Nafs al-Ammar had gone so out of control, their desires, that they became worse than animals. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He made the faisala and the decision to destroy this Qawm, the wife of Lut alayhi salam, she had sympathy to the people. She had sympathy with that Qawm and with the amal and the action that that Qawm was involved in. This homosexuality and all the system that is going on. So the wife of Lut alayhi salam, she had sympathy with that. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the decision to destroy this Qawm, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Lut alayhi salam that we're going to save you and your family. إِلَّا امْرَأَتَكَ, except your wife, كَانَتْ مِنَ الْغَابِرِينَ. She's going to end up remaining behind. And Lut alayhi salam was given the hukum that when you leave this nation, you and your family make sure you don't even look back. Because if you look back, you have some kind of sympathy to the people. Have no sympathy for this kind of act. Just leave. So when they were leaving, the wife, and Lut alayhi salam, he told his family, his daughters and his wife, that don't look back. It means that you have sympathy for what these people are doing. And the wife of Lut alayhi salam, she looked back. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala froze her body in her place. And she was also destroyed with the qawm. So not only is this act despicable, but even having sympathy with this kind of action or these deeds, it is very, very despicable. But when you live in a society where there is so much quote-unquote freedom, that you're allowed to express your desires without any limits, so you will have sympathy for things that are not even human. And if you show any kind of disgust, so then you are blameworthy, or you're someone that is not a good person. And if you read the ayat about Qawm Lut, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that this nation had gone off so far that someone who was normal, as a normal human being, they used to make fun of them. Even they used to make fun of Lut alayhi salam. Innahum unasun yatatahharun. Kind of in a derogatory, funny way, making fun of them, saying, these are humans trying to be clean, trying to be pure. And they use the word unas, which is ismut tasghir in Arabic, kind of like derogatory, making fun of them. They're trying to be pure human beings, So when this desire gets out of control, even the psychology becomes so twisted that which is natural and normal and human, and which is natural in nature as well, all of a sudden that becomes something despicable. Because the person is so sick, the person is so far gone. A person who is sick and he has some sickness. So if he doesn't acknowledge his sickness, he will never get cured. But if he demands that everybody not only accept his sickness, but anybody who doesn't have that sickness, is something wrong with them, what do you think of this person? What do you think of the psychology of this person or people like that? That he's going around saying that if somebody does not have the sickness I have, so they're not, they're not normal. I'm normal. This sickness is normal. Allahu Akbar. Oh, wait, we will make fun of this person. You've gone mad. And similarly, this is a disease which stems from the not controlling or containing the desires. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the beautiful deen of Islam has given us two systems to keep this desire and this nafs in check. One is the system of nikah, and that also as early as possible. When a person, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he encouraged nikah for the youth, those that reach the age of maturity. Also those who is able to being able to afford for themselves. Man istata'a minkum al-ba', the hadith comes, whosoever amongst you can afford al-ba', the basic livelihood, so then marry. And don't get into, what will happen. There are many who have many good degrees and they can't find jobs. There are many who are very, very intelligent, they're very old, they live their life with experience and they cannot find any means of livelihood. Your marriage has nothing to do with your livelihood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in your life if you implement the sunnah in your life. Just remember this. Unfortunately, we come from various societies where if the person's beard is not white, we don't talk about nikah with them, Allahu Akbar. This should not be the way. As early, especially in this society, talking about in a society where they have this co-education and so much freedom, there's no even libas system. There's no system of even clothing. Go to the schools, the middle school and the high school, go see how the children are dressed. Even an old man will get, even his desires will attack him from seeing how these women dress in the schools in summertime. What do you think of the youth? And this is a major sin that they end up getting involved in zina and fornication. And whose fault is it at the end of the day? The blame will eventually to some degree also fall on the parents or the people responsible for trying to get these youth married on time and who do not take their responsibility seriously. They wait that, when they get their degree. We've seen so many cases. Now they're coming to light where the girls, many, many good offers come for them to get married, but the parents are bent on making sure this girl has some very high degree. When the girl is of age 18, 19, 20, even 25, many, many good offers come to them. But the parents delay, okay, we'll wait. When they get their degree, then we can. Finally, when the girl does get a degree and a good career, they're 29, 30, now no one wants to marry them. Time is gone. And now they're sitting at home. Many, many parents. And then they come to us and says, give us some taweez, give us some wazifa, give us somebody has done magic on us, somebody has done evil eye on us. You're trying to throw the blame on other things without recognizing your own mistake. Don't make this mistake. When the youth are of age and you realize that they're mature enough to understand how to take care of themselves, don't delay their nikah, especially in this society. Otherwise, they'll go. And once they go down the wrong path, it's very difficult to fix it. I had one of my friends, he got his son married very young. His son was 17, 18, he got him married. And his son was still doing education, and also he got him a job and, took care of him. And I was talking to him, I said, you got your son married so young. What made you, push it so fast? He said, let me tell you one rule in life. Those people who eat early, they don't starve, I said, it's a good formula. Those people who start early, eat early, everybody else just waiting. So that while they're waiting, they'll starve. Food will be finished. He said, this is the reality of the world that we live in. But his formula was so beautiful that it clicks, When it is time, don't delay. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has told us also in a hadith that there are three things you should never delay in. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, there are three things you should never delay in. One, salah, when the time of salah comes. Don't delay in salah, unnecessarily. Oh, let me finish this, Before you know it, salah time is gone. Just stop everything, pray your salah, and continue doing what you're doing. Salah is very important, on time. The second thing you don't delay, when the burial is ready, the janazah is ready, you should not delay. You should have the janazah and bury. Don't delay this. Things happen, conditions happen, it ends up getting delayed. That is why within 24 hours you should wrap these things up. You should not unnecessarily delay. Oh, so-and-so is going to come to see, and all of a sudden days pass. This should not be the way. Once everything is set, do the burial. Don't delay in this. And the third, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, do not delay in the nikah of a girl once the match is found. Don't delay. Unnecessarily delaying. Things happen. Anything can happen. We've seen quite a few cases where a good match comes, but the parents say, okay, after 1-2 years. And those 1-2 years, conditions happen. He said, she said, and the whole connection and relationship is broken. It doesn't even get to the marriage, stage. So these things happen unnecessarily delaying. Once the match is found, just take that hadith and implement it. Do not delay. And this will protect the society. It will protect the youth. In that maturity, they'll be able to become mature enough to understand why what is haram should be condemned. So this is the nafs al-ammara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the beautiful deen of Islam has given us one nikah. And for those who are not able to get married, then the second rule is given to them, or the second point is that fast. This fasting controls the desires. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us Muslims has made fasting fard in the month of Ramadan. That for 1 month we fast, it controls the desires. It brings the nafs al-ammara under control. Otherwise it can get out of control. And you should also have the nafil fast as much as you can fast. For someone who's not able to control their desires and they're not able to find a match either, then start fasting. Fast as much as you can. This was also a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He used to fast very often. If nothing else, the sunnah is to fast every Monday, fast every Thursday, fast on the 14, 15, 16 of the lunar month, the full moon. If you don't know what is the 14, 15, 16, when you see the full moon, start fasting. So this will help control this desire. It will help bring these desires under control. And it's also a medical aspect to it also. And many of these desires stem from our eating, how much we eat. Not necessarily what we eat, how much we eat. Once you control that volume of your food, you'll see how your desires will diminish. So this is the beautiful deen of Islam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in controlling and keeping this under control. And with that, you'll be able to live a very, very balanced life. The second nafs is the angelic nafs, nafsul mutma'inna. It is that nafs that just wants to be left alone in solitude. It doesn't want anything to have to do with the dunya or the world. Sometimes people become so fed up with the world, they just want to leave the world. And there are people like this. They don't want to have anything to do with anything in the dunya. They don't want to have to work. They don't want to have to deal with people. They don't want any kind of relationship. They're tired of their family. Generally, it starts with the family. Fights start. Person says, I'm tired of my family. Leave me. And a person, gets into such solitude, and now he wants just to give up the dunya, give up the world. In one side, you're able to find certain level of tranquility. There's a lot of tranquility in giving up the dunya. But on the other side, there's also danger to it. If it is within limits, it can be a very beautiful thing to seclude yourself for some time. And we don't even realize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us such a beautiful system. In the day, we're told that 5 times a day, seclude yourself from the world. One of the beautiful systems of salah is that you get that seclusion from the dunya, that detachment from all the craziness going on out there. In the morning when we wake up, human nature is to worry about the whole day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He invites us that come pray Fajr Salah. And one beautiful thing is that it is strongly recommended, at least for the men, the brothers, to pray in the masjid. The masjid has a different level of reward than praying at home for the men, not for the women. For the women also, there's reward for praying in the masjid, but there's more reward for them to pray at home. But for the men, the level of reward for praying in the masjid, detaching yourself, and physically coming to the masjid. So in the morning, when you start your day with salah, your whole fikr and concern of the day is rewired. That our concern for the day, being dunya and worried about the dunya, we're reminded that listen, there's a being that controls this world. And when you come and you worship that being that controls this world, live the rest of your day in that yaqeen and that conviction. And whatever happens in the dunya was in the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it was good, be grateful for it. If it was harmful, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show you the wisdom behind why certain things happen. Sometimes we don't even understand the wisdom behind why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows certain things to happen. They're out of our control, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows them to happen. And there are so many cases that we have seen. There's a case of a person, I just told this story recently. We went to one restaurant. He had ordered the food on the phone. And, when you order, they tell you come in these many minutes, the food will be ready. He was told 20 minutes or something. So he went there and the food wasn't ready. And he had already paid. He got angry. He got angry at the restaurant. I told you my food should be ready. I have a very important meeting today. And he went off on that. So the guy said, okay, listen, you've already paid. We're getting it ready. Wait another 10-15 minutes. The person was really mad. He rescheduled his meeting. He said, give me another 15 minutes or 10 minutes. And other people on the other line said, funny thing, we're also late, so take it easy. We'll all get there at the same time. So he sat down waiting for his food. When he looked outside, sat down, he looked outside, there was an accident that happened. Had he grabbed his food, had his food been ready and he grabbed it and walked outside, he would have been killed in the accident. He says, subhanAllah. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us that you think you're in control. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to save us, makes certain conditions happen out of our control, but they are to save us. So never look at something in a harmful way. We already told the story of the king and the wazir that had traveled. So the wazir always used to tell the king that, whatever happens, there is khair. There was a wazir. I'll repeat the story because it fits to the occasion. There was a king, he had a minister. He had many ministers, but he liked this one minister the most. And this minister, anytime something bad would happen, he used to tell the king, it's okay, there'll be khair in this. It's okay, there'll be good in this. So the king said, okay, no problem. So one time they went hunting, and when they were hunting, the king, his foot got injured. Very badly injured in the hunting, and he got hurt. So, the medical team was there. They were working on the king. The king was in real pain. And he was kind of crying in pain. And he looked at the wazir, and people were telling him, it's okay, king, and, we're here for you. And the king looked at the wazir, and the wazir looked at him and said, there's khair in your foot getting hurt. The king, he had enough. He said, really, man? I'm hurt. And you're telling me this is good? He told the guards, put this crazy guy in prison, man. Get him out of here. They tied him up. They took him to prison. So that night when everyone was sleeping, in that area, that forest area, there was a group of, the cannibal people. So they went to these tents. They found the king in all these, they found all these tents the king used to have. So these people realized that the person who was in the center of all these tents must be an important person. And they took out the guards and they took the person in the center tent, the king. So when they took the king and in the morning they investigated, the cannibal people said, oh, this guy is the king. And it was their system that they used to sacrifice, they believed in this God, that they used to sacrifice a human being for their God as a level of their worship. And then obviously they would eat the human being. So they realized that this is a king. They said, what a sacrifice, what a great honor it is to be able to sacrifice a king for our gods, So one of the conditions or sharait that they had for sacrificing a person was that there should not be any kind of physical ailment on the person. There should not be nothing hurt or nothing broken. So when they started searching the king, they found the injury he had on his foot. Very severe injury. They said, we were so happy that we could sacrifice a king for our God. But your foot is almost finished. We can't sacrifice someone. They were debating with each other. They said, okay, let's just let him go. What else can we do with this guy? And they blindfolded him, took him back wherever he was, and left him there. So he went back to his kingdom, and he became so happy. He said, that minister told me that there will be khair in this. And, that was one of my trusted ministers, and he was so close to me that even if I used to stay in a tent, he used to be in the same tent with me. We were so close friends, So he called that minister. He said, I'm so sorry. He was telling the minister, I'm so sorry that I put you in prison, and I really feel bad. Forgive me. So the minister, he said, King, don't worry. You putting me in prison, there's khair in that. The king said, you know what? And you really lost it. You must have really gone crazy. This prison must have really messed you up. The minister said, no, you don't understand. Your foot was hurt, not mine. If they were going to let you go, who do you think they would sacrifice next? They would have sacrificed me. By you putting me in prison, you saved my life. Thank you. The moral of the story is sometimes things happen in our life that are not in our control, but they're still for our benefit. But also the aspect of salah, that in the morning we should always remember, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us in the Fajr salah. There'll be things that will happen in the day that will not be in your control. But just remember that I'm doing this for your benefit. First thing we're reminded about in the morning, the beauty of the deen of Islam when it comes to nafsul mutma'inna, to find that tranquility and that peace of mind from the very, very beginning of the day. Inshallah, we'll continue. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala Sayyidina Mursaleen. وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وادخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مونسا وعلى الصراط نورا وفي الجنة رفيقا ومن النار سترا وحجابا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان الله.